It's been a crazy couple of days recently. Of course, yesterday with that impressive team performance against Liverpool, despite the injuries, despite the fatigue, and despite the media circus surrounding the club surrounding that interview from Lukaku with Sky Italia, we clearly saw a Chelsea team still united, still ready to back the fans, and of course, back the manager as well. Today, you guys, it's a day for answers, and today Lukaku will be holding meetings with the club as well as his teammates to explain what exactly was the reasoning behind that infamous interview he gave recently. What happens now? Where do we go from here? And is it really time for Lukaku to go? Today, you guys, I'm releasing 2 videos surrounding this whole drama because, you know, I didn't want to give any reactionary opinions. I wanted to just take my time to really understand and wait for more information to come out first before releasing anything on this platform. We start with things, and we all knew that yesterday Lukaku was dropped officially from the entire squads for the game versus Liverpool. Now, he wasn't even in attendance in the stadium, probably for good reasoning, because if Lukaku was in the stadium, you can imagine the boos and the outcry could have been a real distraction from the team and their performance. Tuchel's name was being sung to the highest of levels, and today we got some more context from Tuchel behind why he decided to actually drop Lukaku from the team. And the reason for that was that this was a meritocratic decision that he had made with the senior players of this club. Now, the only players that we do know were Kante, Jorginho, Azpilicueta, and Rudiger as well. Tuchel turned to his squad to find the fairest way to deal with this Lukaku situation. It doesn't help though that reports suggesting that when Tuchel spoke to Lukaku was very adamant that he felt like he did nothing wrong and that this was being blown out of proportion. But maybe Lukaku wasn't seeing things from the squad's perspective and the manager's perspective as well. And I guess it's this bureaucratic nature in which, you know, Tuchel gets a lot of respect for, because since the first day he came, he united some of the divide and some of the tension. Maybe tension's a better word to say, not divide, but the tension that was in the squad at the time before Frank Lampard left. He understands the power of unity of team spirit, and he's clearly not a dictator. He wants to be working with players as well, and that respect he gives, equally, he would like to have that respect back, and that's something that I completely understand. He said himself too that, yeah, the situation is a bit difficult, a bit unnecessary, but he also understands that Lukaku put himself in a situation where his quotes will be taken out of context, and I guess implying any effects he was hoping to have from the interview may not be the desired outcome that Lukaku was initially hoping to receive. I mean, this is Thomas Tuchel, you guys, this is Tuchel's class, and you just know that in this situation he will handle it. And the fact that he liaises with the team to come to his decision already, this gives all of us the confidence that this situation should die over pretty soon. Now, is this whole Lukaku situation now proof that there is a growing divide within the squad and that potentially Lukaku has now lost the respect of all his teammates and has now fallen out with every single person? Definitely not, you guys. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. You know, in a competitive environment, especially when you're a team like us competing for things at the top, emotions become heightened. If you need some of the controversies that happen behind the scenes, some of the incidents that take place during training, some of you guys will be in actual disbelief, and we'll be seeing headlines like this literally every single week. What I think is going to happen is that Lukaku will have to answer to his teammates, because I think for me, the most important thing here is that trust. Lukaku, we know, didn't liaise with the club at all, the manager, and most importantly his teammates, because as it was reported today, every single one of them was equally as surprised as the manager and as the club were. And of course, when you're a team, when you're united, you want to have that trust in your other teammates. You need to have that trust in your teammates. You know, you guys are that unit together, fighting, competing together to go for the trophies every single season. And the fact that Lukaku didn't even inform any of the teammates as well, I'm sure will hurt and surprise them, and of course, could potentially create doubts going into the future if they are not addressed today. But do I think that this is like an irreparable thing now? Absolutely not, you guys. What Lukaku is going to have to do now is take the L. Now that he knows that the squads are really backing the decisions and actually came to that decision themselves. This wasn't the club enforcing it on them or anything like that. I think this rechanges the entire context of the situation now. And if Lukaku felt like he was absolutely not in the wrong, he's now going to have to explain that to his teammates today, and I'm sure later today we'll get some answers behind what really went down and get some more context behind this entire situation. For me, you guys, I can't be sitting here and think that what he did was an absolute detriment to the team, because What I saw yesterday was a complete contradiction of any of those notions that have been carried out in the media recently. Yesterday we saw a team even more united, we saw a team hungry, we saw a team fighting against their buddies for God's sake to put out an incredible comeback against Liverpool, and on another day we are getting all 3 points. The unity was more apparent than ever in yesterday's game, and I think that's something that Lukaku will have to respect and understand, and of course speak very frankly and openly with a lot of teammates are his friends at the club as well. I'd imagine the club will punish him because we know that the club are very protective of their media coverage. We even knew that we were one of the first clubs approached to do one of those Amazon documentaries, which we turned down at the time due to all the malarkey that was happening with our transfer ban during that time as well. So we are very protective about the coverage we released, journalists who are allowed to talk about us and reveal stories too, and of course the image we're trying to put out there in the public. So for one, for none of the Chelsea board members to be aware of this, for their own egos, that is something they won't tolerate regardless if Lukaku was right or wrong. I'd imagine too that we are going to hear more thoughts from Lukaku later today. Yesterday it was reported that Tim Howard and Tim Cahill, his former teammates at Everton, they revealed that Lukaku gave a very cryptic message to them, basically saying that he can't talk now, but of course on Monday, once conversations have been had, he will give his answers on things. For me, I'm really expecting that to be some type of PR apology, especially because maybe the interview that he gave to Interfans kind of did unironically divulge into a bit of PR-iness based on the circumstances in which he left Inter Milan in the first place. As I'm really stressing, do I really believe that Lukaku's in a very difficult situation where he can never come back from this? Absolutely not. I think with his teammates who will actually get more concrete answers than any of us will ever understand. We only get these things from the press and from the media. I'm sure things will be fine in the end for that. As I'm saying before, controversies have happened all the time recently and they will continue to happen due to the nature of competitive football. But this is an opportunity now for Lukaku to build that trust more with his teammates, so none of them ever feel like they are left in the dust or unprepared for. Because, going back to the game yesterday, if Lukaku was playing in that game, that's taking off pressure from players who are just returning back into the team like Kai Havertz, who clearly isn't super fit at this point in time. Of course, it would have put on less stress on other players too who are still returning back to the game as well. So all of these things do transpire and do have consequences if they are not addressed. I also think too that when Lukaku does get back into the team, the only way that can really atone and apologise to the fan base who would feel maybe a bit hurt based on the way they've idolised his recent signing is to do what he can only ever do and what we signed him for, and that is to score goals. And I guess ultimately that is kind of like the irony behind the whole thing, because maybe the reality is going to be that this whole situation will be forgotten about in a month or two, and if Lukaku goes on a goal scoring streak, will the energy still be the same? We've seen in the past when Mourinho lost his job for the second time and he signed for us. The three snakes, the three rats at the time, Fabregas, Hazard, Diego Costa, people called for them to go out and leave. Yeah, those are the same players that were able to atone themselves very easily and early on in subsequent seasons in which they helped us win trophies. And I guess ultimately that is the only thing that really matters, right? And I guess that's the only fear that we want addressed. Will this affect our ability to keep on winning and win trophies? And for me, you guys, after seeing that performance from the entire squad yesterday, I definitely don't think anything of any nature can ever change or affect the Chelsea team spirit. Now, of course, there is a ton of disappointment now in the fan base based on how Lukaku has acted recently. However, for me, this is where we trust Thomas Tuchel's judgment. Tuchel is not looking to ostracize Lukaku from this team. Tuchel still has faith in his man. These talks will be used to alleviate any issues, any underlying problems that Lukaku, the squad, may have, and this is the perfect time for things to come out in the open and for things to be discussed. If Tuchel brings him back into the team, we as a fan base, in my opinion, should also get behind that decision and trust the manager's judgment and his intentions. I mean, today we're already seeing some of the fake reports taking advantage of the situation and the climate, because anger is the perfect thing that sells in the modern world. I think we've all seen the surprise news coming out suggesting that Tottenham now may be looking to sign Lukaku from us. These are the reports that we can't give any energy to. These are the reports that we have to ignore. As I'm saying, we trust Tuchel's judgment. the squad's reaction, and if they give Lukaku another chance, in my opinion, that's what we have to do as well. So you guys, on that note, I'm going to release another video where I'm going to be discussing in greater detail all the main controversial points and parts from that Lukaku interview. And as I said, you guys, I'll be speaking my truth and giving my honest opinion that's been based on taking some days off to really just let things settle a bit and formulate my points and my arguments. So I'll see you guys later on. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Cool.